Hi, this is Doug Ward from Tech Britain. Today we're very lucky to have Michael Newman, CEO and founder of my1login. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Just like to let our viewers know about yourself first. That'd be great.
Yep. Yeah. So in terms of so my background is originally a graduate in electronic engineering. Did a postgrad in IT, and then joined a graduate training scheme in a company called Scottish Telecom, which was the telecoms division of Scottish Power. We then rebranded as Thus in the late 90s and floated in the stock market in the largest IPO in UK history at the time. And then went on to build the company across the UK, and it was subsequently acquired by Cable & Wireless in 2008, at which point I became part of the management team in Cable & Wireless. So always been in the technology industry, and worked with Cable & Wireless through to November of last year, and left to pursue my interests and set up my1login.
And how did the idea come about?
So several years ago, I'd started to consider entrepreneurial initiatives and doing something outside of the day-to-day 9 to 5 PLC environment. And I'd always had an interest in software. My background was always in software, having learnt to program when I was 11, which was a long time ago.
Cool.
And so I'd kind of been looking for an idea that was internet-based, globally scalable, and solved a day-to-day problem, and could be offered in a free variant of some sort. And after a couple of months of thinking along those lines, I realised that I was starting to accumulate more and more logins, especially for work. And I couldn't always use the same usernames. The criteria for the password was different, and I thought there must be a better way to do this.
Fantastic. Just for our viewers, could you explain what my1login is? My1login.
Yeah. So my1login basically is a secure vault where you can safely store and securely access all your login details. We use military-grade encryption to encrypt all of your details before they get transmitted to us, which means that all we store is the encrypted piece of data and not the piece of information, the key that you use to encrypt them. And what it means is that by signing in once into my1login, with one click, we can then sign you into your favourite sites.
So, we've seen you recently on the BBC, and we're thinking, everybody's got that problem, too many websites, too many passwords, but who is Michael Newman and what is the technology? Can we dig a little bit deeper into the process of the technology?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically it all centres around an encryption process which is called AES encryption. And that basically uses a local key within the browser. So it's a phrase that you create. So you make up one secure phrase, and that's used to encrypt all your data. So let's say, for example, you use the phrase "open the pod bay doors, Hal." So that has 26 characters in total. That string of 26 characters is used to encrypt your information before it's sent across the internet for storage in our servers. The 26 characters could be uppercase, lowercase, numerals, and various different symbols. So there's probably about 100 different character types. And what that means is that to go through every permutation of string to try and break your data and decrypt it would actually require going through something in the region of about 10 to the power of 28 different combinations of information. And even if you happen to have a supercomputer in handy, which not many of us do, that would let's say that supercomputer was running a billion attempts to crack your key every second. It would still take in the region of something like 30 billion years to go through every possible combination.
Wow. So there shouldn't be any concerns at all. I mean, that's
only for anyone that's planning on being around for several billion years. Because,
yeah. No, that's fantastic. In terms of you saying about a freemium aspect to the product, is it something what's the pricing model that you've gone with?
Yeah, so basically we offer, we know that everybody has the problem of too many passwords, and if you don't, you're probably using the same password for everything, which is a pretty bad idea from a security point of view. So we wanted to offer something that was free and accessible to everyone. So we believe that everybody has the right to be secure online and the right to access a product such as this that can help them be more secure and help them help life become more simple on the web. So we offer the entry level, which does most of the things you want. The Pro version of the product is subscription based, and that has some nice to have features on it, so you can personalise the user experience a little bit more.
And in terms of going forward, what is the big? We like to ask, what's the big goal for?
Yeah, so we've got a number of very exciting announcements in the pipeline. So we've got some big initiatives coming up that we'll be looking to create a bit of noise with, and we think they're very exciting, and that they'll potentially be taking us into new markets. We're now in full swing with our second round funding discussions, and we plan to be here for several years to come.
Fantastic. And in terms of your first round of funding, how did that come about?
Yeah, it was certainly a challenge to raise funding in the current environment, and I think that particularly in Scotland, it's when you're remote from London and you don't have the same access to the same amount of capital and the same amount of high net worths and the same volume of angel activity. So raising money from Glasgow is difficult. It's also difficult if you're in, say, Glasgow or you're remote from London and you're trying to access that capital from London, because even the logistics of maintaining dialogue and travel actually can become big barriers to raising that funding. So all in all, it probably took us in the region of about 18 months from start to finish, which
Wow.
is a long time.
Long time.
And certainly my expectations initially were, going in with a solid business plan, commercially sound. We had a product that was in prototype and was almost ready to go. I felt that it would take us perhaps 6 months. So just lesson learned is it probably will take you a lot longer than you think to
Wow.
raise funding.
That's good for people out there who are just about to go through that process to hear that. Obviously, we're based in Glasgow here today. What was your decision to be based where we are? I'd like to let the viewers know where we are.
Yeah, I'm obviously from Glasgow, and the opportunity arose with an initiative that's run by the local council, an initiative called Digital Enterprise Glasgow, and Digital Enterprise Glasgow were offering free accommodation for 6 months to eligible companies that met their criteria, and it's all about Digital Enterprise Glasgow is all about tech startups and digital startups, and we applied, we were accepted, and we secured this accommodation, and it's been absolutely fantastic. So we've actually, in general, between that and the contribution towards our funding, we've had overwhelming support from the government.
Fantastic. And speaking about Glasgow's tech community, what's your thoughts on the tech community here?
So I think there's a massive buzz about and often underrated buzz when you're outside of Glasgow. But there's a huge entrepreneurial culture here. We've got a number of fantastic initiatives in Glasgow. So we've got Digital Enterprise Glasgow. There's eSpark. There's the Hillington Park Innovation Centre. There's a lot of activity and a lot of support for startups. I think the challenge is how does that all come together in a way that's coherent and structured and efficient for to build an ecosystem where investors and entrepreneurs and the support organisations all come together in one place.
So would you like to see the government get behind that to try and make that happen?
I think that the government, from our perspective, I certainly would say that the government support is absolutely there, and as I said, we've had overwhelming support from the government, and I would also say, surprisingly so, and it certainly exceeded my expectations of what was available. I think the support is there, and the question is, as you say, is whether that needs to be essentially centralised in one area, so that there's a common, a single ecosystem within the area. rather than the number of disparate systems.
Okay, and I'm just thinking if somebody's watching this and they're thinking, I should go to London or I should go, leave the UK or something like that, would you advise them to stay in Glasgow?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think my advice would be for anyone around the UK. I would say that a couple of things. One is that raising funding will take longer than you expect. Raising funding costs money, so just be prepared and budget something for doing that. But most importantly, I would say that if you're given the opportunity, you should try and raise money in your local area first, because it will be a lot easier to maintain momentum and dialogue with local investors as opposed to ones who are more remote and you need to travel for.
And we were talking earlier off camera about the culture in the UK. We're big fans of what goes on in the valley, that you can do it attitude. How have you found British culture compared to the American? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think there's a polarity almost in cultures within the UK and the US. I think that aside from the fact that in the US and Silicon Valley they have obviously an overwhelmingly stronger ecosystem to support entrepreneurial creativity, I also think that it's almost ingrained in the DNA of the United States. So, if you take the US, they can, most of the people in the US have been brought up with the ideal pursuit of the American dream.
Sure.
And I don't think that we have that in the UK. And I think that what that's given America and what's instilled in America is their DNA embraces failure far more than we do in the UK. And we need to adopt more of that. We should learn from that, and we should embrace it and say, well, because the people that are out there and trying are the people that are going to take this country forward. We all know that the job creation isn't going to come from the large PLCs who are downsizing and cutting back to the bone. The growth in the economy is going to come from the entrepreneurs and the SMEs in this country, and we should be doing everything we can to support them. So I think there's a massive cultural shift that's needed within the UK to give that full support.
I'd like to say thank you very much for your time. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.